Welcome to Knowledge Share channel. In this video, we will be discussing about the difference between a lumped network and a distributed network. So this is a series of video. In previous video, we have discussed about different classifications of electrical networks. So this is one of the way of classifying the electrical network, like lumped network, or it can be a distributed network. If you are really interested with the previous types of classification of electric network, you can go through the previous videos. So let's go into the topic. And so here, this is what all about. So we have discussed about linear and non-linear network. We have discussed about bilateral and unilateral network. We have discussed about active and passive network. There is one more classification of electrical network, which is nothing but lumped and distributed network. Okay, lumped and distributed network. So in this video, I will be discussing about the characteristics of the lumped network, and I will give you some few examples. And then I will also be discussing about the characteristics of the distributed network, and I will be giving you some few examples so that you can have some clarity of understanding what is the difference between the lumped and distributed network. So what is a lumped network? See, for example, if a network having some network elements which are physically separable, I can separate it physically. That is called as lumped network. I can separate it physically. Okay, is it clear? A network in which the network elements are physically separable is called as lumped network. And most of the electrical networks are lumped networks. Please understand. Most of the electrical networks are lumped network. Then what do you mean by this distributed network? See here, a network in which the circuit elements like resistor, inductor or capacitor, whatever may be, if it is not physically separable, and it is used only for analysis purpose, then that particular network is called as the distributed network. I will just give you one small examples. Okay. For example, in case of distributed network, we will be using a transmission line. So in the transmission line, the resistance, inductance and capacitance are distributed along its length. Is it right? For example, a transmission line can be around 500 kilometers or even 1000 kilometers. So it is the inductance, resistance and capacitance are distributed throughout its length. So it cannot be shown as a separate element anywhere in the circuit. Is it right? So it is distributed across 1000 kilometers and across 100 kilometers or across 500 kilometers of the transmission line. So that is called as a distributed network. So for example, if you use the RLC parameters in the transmission line, it is called as a distributed network. If you use a practical circuit which you are going to assemble and execute, then that particular network is called as a lumped network, because it can be physically separable. The network elements can be physically separable. So that's why it is called as lumped network. So hope you're clear. Okay. So now I will just brief you with some more examples. So as we have already discussed, a network in which the resistor, inductors and capacitors which can be separated physically is called as a lumped network. So here you can see that this is the capacitor and this is the inductor and this is the resistor. So all these elements can be physically separable from any circuit. I can take it, I can remove it. So that is called as a lumped network. Is it clear? So hope you're clear with what is a lumped network. Then let us go into the distributed network. See, in case of distributed network, the resistance, capacitors and inductance cannot be separated physically. Okay, I have given the definition. It cannot be separated physically. What it means? For example, this is a transmission line. You can see that this is a transmission line. Where is the resistance? Where is the inductance? Where is the capacitance? It is there. In a transmission line, it is there. Whenever the transmission line is above 50 kilometers, the RLC parameters will come into play, which plays a very vital role in deciding the transmission line parameters, its efficiency, its voltage level. Everything can be decided by the resistance, inductance and capacitance which is present in the transmission line inherently. That is, it is just distributed. It is not physically present, but it is distributed. So that's why this particular network is called as a distributed network, because the resistance, inductance and capacitance are distributed throughout the transmission line. It can be a 100 kilometer transmission line, it can be a 200 kilometer transmission line, 500 kilometer transmission line, or even 1000 kilometer transmission line, whatever it may be. It is distributed throughout. Okay, so that's why it is called as a distributed network. So in this video, we have discussed about the characteristics of the lumped network, the characteristics of the distributed network, and I have given you some examples of what the lumped network is all about, and also I have discussed you about what this distributed network is all about. Hope you are all clear with the difference. Okay, hope you are all clear with the difference of between the lumped network and the distributed network. So, thank you. If you really like this video, give a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, you can just comment. If you really feel that this particular video will be useful to some friends, you can just share it. And if you really like the videos which I post in this particular channel, give a subscribe to this channel and it will be a good motivation for me. Thank you.